over 2 hours of Tesla Annual Shareholder Meeting 2024. Appreciate the conversation for those that joined me on the live stream of the event, but this video is designed to give a super hyper cut of that event, only giving you the most valuable tidbits of information. Before we get into the heart of the presentation, Tesla made 5 proposals, all of which were approved, including the board members, the pay package, and the move to Texas. Stockholders had 7 proposals open, all of which failed, with the exception of proposals 6 and 7. One having to do with the shortening of director terms and the other about majority voting. I voted against proposals 6 and 7. They still passed, however. I'm just not in favor of my directors only being there for a year trying to do as much as they can for their agenda instead of for the mission. I want my board of directors to be invested in the long term. And there was undoubtedly a record turnout for the vote. Proposal 7 will now magnify this, for better or worse. Now, a record turnout was needed in order for Tesla to reincorporate to Texas. I'm surprised some of these other propositions didn't get a 4 based off the sheer volume of shareholders that voted. Needless to say, it's an exciting time to be a Tesla shareholder. Let's hear what Elon Musk has to say.
Welcome to the Tesla shareholder meeting. I just want to start off by saying, hot damn, I love you guys.
Now, this is probably what kicked off some of that fanboy QA-ism, but you really can't blame Elon for being excited. Many of the Tesla shareholders came out in support of what he was doing. Despite the recent decline in the stock, people are being patient, trusting in the path that innovation will eventually lead them on, being the most valuable company in a decade's time.
We've got a great sort of shareholder meeting here to recap the achievements of the company and tell you about where we're going. Those of you who have been following Tesla closely understand, like you get it.
Yes, we do.
So like, the important thing is you get it. I mean, where things are going, I think, is just going to be absolutely mind-blowing. The value of the company, autonomy is just such a mind-blowing thing. And if you just plot the points on the curve of how well autonomy is progressing and just believe the curve, it's headed towards unsupervised full self-driving very quickly at an exponential pace. No question whatsoever that will far exceed human safety. Like, there'll be some cars that Tesla owns itself in kind of like an Uber fashion, but then for the fleet that is owned by our customers, it will be like an Airbnb thing. You can add or subtract your car to the fleet whenever you want. So you can say, like, I'm going away for a week. At just one tap on your Tesla app, your car gets added to the fleet, and it just makes money for you while you're gone. And I'm highly confident that it will far exceed the value, like the revenue made by the owner of the car will far exceed the actual monthly payment. And then Tesla will obviously take a rev share on that, but most of the money will go to the owner of the car, and this is actually going to work. This is what will happen. Now, admittedly, I'm a little optimistic sometimes. So I don't have complete lack of self-awareness. But if I wasn't optimistic, this wouldn't exist. This factory wouldn't exist.
You're damn right. Now, I know Elon can be fairly optimistic with his timelines, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'm not here to judge whether or not when this is going to happen. I'm here to judge if it's going to happen. The Tesla Semi, the Cybertruck, all of those things took quite a bit of time, but I knew they were on the way based on this man's conviction to make it happen. People forget he is trying to accomplish things that have never been done before. Timelines may vary.
For ARK Invest, I'd recommend reading the ARK Invest analysis. That's the most accurate. There may be more accurate ones, but the most accurate sort of analysis of the potential of autonomy. The most accurate that I'm aware of is Kathy Wood's ARK Invest.
If you're not following the folks over there at ARK Invest, you probably should be. They've got an open source model where you can throw in your own figures and all kinds of things, get your own base, bull, and bear targets, insightful research from various different members of that group, especially Kathy Wood.
This is a 5-year price target, as all of ours are. And what has to happen is an autonomous taxi platform, Tesla's autonomous taxi platform. So robotaxis, which is a SaaS-like model. Instead of selling a car and maybe the software package, and that's it, this becomes a recurring revenue model, a slice of every mile driven on that autonomous taxi network. Very high margins. Right now, auto gross margins are around 16%. Gross margins in the SaaS world are more like 80%.
Yeah! Damn, those margins sound juicy.
And if I recall correctly, they predicted somewhere over a $5 trillion valuation for Tesla just based on vehicle autonomy, not counting Optimus.
And that's only because Optimus, it's hard to see where that actually fits in. Humanoid robots in the home, industrial use, it's so up in the air right now. What can these things do? But when you're talking about a robo-taxi, I mean, that's already out there. Waymo, Cruise, all that going to pale in comparison when Tesla unveils their robo-taxi fleet. This is easier to model. As you scale Tesla vehicles for consumers and the robotaxi, this software as a service is only going to grow exponentially.
I think that's pretty accurate. It actually gets way crazier when you think about the Optimus. Think that the ultimate ratio of, say, how many super useful humanoid helper droids do you want? Like, who doesn't want a C-3PO, you know? But a C-3PO plus R2-D2 plus, plus. I think the ratio of humanoid robots to humans will probably be at least 2 to 1, something like that. 1 to 1 for sure, so, which means like somewhere on the order of 10 billion humanoid robots. I mean, I think if you sell for $20,000 or something, this is at large scale volume, Tesla would basically make about $1 trillion of profit a year from that. If the price earnings multiple is, say, I don't know, 20 or 25, something like that, that would mean a $20 trillion market cap from Optimus alone. Like, I think it's actually conceivable, it's within the realm of possibility for Tesla to achieve a valuation 10 times that of the most valuable company today. So with that, let me get into the presentation. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, as you can see, our impact is accelerating. You know, we're starting to make a real noticeable dent in carbon emissions. We care a lot about sustainable manufacturing. Our factories are beautiful. Like, you walk around the factory, it's actually, you know, contrary to these, like, what you read in the press, it's like a good vibe in the factory. Like, people are smiling and happy. It's like, it's nice. Batteries are lasting a lot longer, which is good. Safety is good in the factory. We're improving the affordability of EVs. You know, Model Y is comparable to a BMW X3, but its actual cost of ownership on a monthly basis is much lower. We were #1 in EVs globally last year. And congrats to the Tesla team on making 6 million vehicles all time. I mean, the Tesla fleet is really becoming very substantial. I mean, it's going to be 7 million vehicles by the end of this year. Over 7 million vehicles.
I wonder what that does for the total year of deliveries. Will Tesla be over 1.8 million vehicles delivered this year?
Our factory in Fremont is currently the highest volume auto factory in North America. So, and we broke the prior production record from when it was NUMMI. So it's actually pretty wild. We have a giant car factory in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's not exactly the cheapest place to have a car factory. It's like that in the Swiss Alps or something, you know. A lot of people were saying the Cybertruck is like fake, it's never going to come out, you know. And now we're shipping a lot of Cybertrucks. We had a weekly record of 1,300. I think that with the Cybertruck, it really is something special. Like, people sometimes have like different opinions on the Cybertruck, but if you really want to know if something is cool, if it's a great product, like, show it to a kid, okay? Like, no filter, okay? The kid's got like no filter, like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, something like that, and or even 3-year-old, and say, which car do you like? Cybertruck.
You're damn right.
If you think about it, like how often do companies make products that move your heart, that are really special? It's so rare, and I think this is one of them. And we launched the upgraded 3, which is actually a fantastic car. I recommend trying it out. And of course, Model Y became the best-selling vehicle globally. And this is something that we predicted. You know, I think I said in like 2022, Model Y would be the biggest car in the world by dollar volume sales, and at 2023 it would be the biggest in unit volume, and it was. Again, this year it will be the best-selling car on earth.
What the Model Y say? They gonna ask if I can play this back to back.
We're in low-volume production of the Tesla Semi, and just last week I approved the plans for volume production of the Tesla Semi. It's something I think it'll actually move the needle financially. It's not like it's not a small thing. Companies that use them are super objective. It's not like it's actually. I mean, obviously we're going to make it have cool style and be an awesome car, but for commercial vehicles, the companies that make the buying decisions, they just look at it and say, like, what are the numbers? Like, is this cost less to transport or cost more to transport than say, a diesel truck? And the thing is that the economics are much better than a diesel truck. It's kind of basically a no-brainer. If you're a transport company, you don't use the Tesla electric Semi, you're just losing money. Why would you do that? Do you not like money? Okay. But if you do like money, then I recommend using the Tesla Semi. Obviously, we've got some new products that we're working on under the covers.
Let's take a head count, shall we? Looks like we've got the Model 3, the Model S, and the semi-truck up top. In that second row, we've got the Model Y, the Model X, and the Cybertruck. I see 3 category of vehicles, right? We've got commercial use, we've got the Tesla Semi, and the Robotaxi. That's its own separate group up there. The next-gen vehicle with controls, the Model 3, and the Model S. Sedans and compacts, and then you have your larger vehicles, your compact SUV, your SUV, and truck. To go along with that high occupancy theme, larger vehicle, I'm assuming that car next to the Model Y will be the Cybervan. Maybe a cyber cab of some sort. But as you can see, the Tesla roadmap is deep.
Some of them, I think people maybe at first may think, oh, it's not going to be that amazing, but just wait. It will be. Supercharger network is continuing to grow. Rumors of the death of the supercharger are greatly exaggerated. This is actually not showing a bunch of new markets that will be opening up later this year and next. So we're obviously we want Tesla to be worldwide, and there's still a lot of countries that we have 0 to very few Teslas, and we want Tesla everywhere.
Opening up markets later this year and the next. If I had to guess, expect superchargers in Mexico, South America, and if I were a betting man, probably India.
We're also opening the superchargers to other companies with the that's the adapter to the old somewhat clunky connector.
It's almost as if someone designed that with the intention of keeping the internal combustion engine around.
So any other car companies that are going electric, we do want to be helpful to them with our supercharger network. So we're providing them with adapters and enabling them to have access to the Tesla supercharging network because we think it's better to do that than to create a walled garden that inhibits EV growth. And we're also innovating a lot in battery production with the 4680 that's built right here. It's a hard problem, like there are entire companies that just make battery cells. That's all they do. Like all the Cybertrucks that you see use the Tesla 4680 cell. It's good to have some independence in cell manufacturing. If you were to look at sort of a video of how Tesla does, say, cathode and lithium refining and how the rest of industry does it, it's night and day. I mean, you can sort of eat off the floor in the Tesla refinery, and I would not recommend doing so in the others. But I think this is a wise investment that will pay off more than people realize.
The very reason why I am all in on Tesla and not, say, GM or Ford.
We're also on track to complete a massive number of energy deployments. So that's a gigantic increase in deployment capability. We seem to be tracking to sort of a 200 to 300% year-over-year growth. We seem to be tracking to sort of a 200 to 300% year-over-year growth in energy storage deployment and stationary pack. Services and other are also looking good, so we're actually now making money on the services and other stuff. It's kind of a big deal. And Tesla's obviously way more than a car company. We do a lot of software at Tesla. About, I don't know, roughly half or a very huge percentage of the engineering we do is actually software engineering. So Tesla's, I'd say, as much a software company as it is a hardware company. This is a very big deal because car companies are not software companies normally.
Ford, GM, they're software companies, right? No?
Tesla also writes a lot of software internally that helps, that like we call like the Tesla operating system internally, that is head and shoulders above what any other company has. I think probably better than any Fortune 500 company, far more than what people normally think of as a car company. And Tesla is also the leader in real-world AI. So there's really, this is a big deal. Like Tesla is ahead of Google, Meta, OpenAI, anyone on real-world software, actually taking in video and making decisions based on video. No one is even close. And it's getting better, I say, with each passing month, if not each passing week. It's also worth noting that Tesla is actually pretty good at chip design. So the AI inference chip that was designed by Tesla that's in cars, we had sort of our hardware 3 AI inference cars made in over the past year have the hardware 4. We've just completed design on hardware 5, which we're now calling AI 5, because it's really is there still actually is not a chip from NVIDIA or from, and I have a lot of respect for NVIDIA, from any company that we would prefer to put in our car that is better than what we have in the car.
I wonder what Ford and GM are using for their AI stacks.
We'll continue to make significant progress on hardware 3, but later this year we'll actually bifurcate, continue working on hardware 3, so on training on hardware 3, but then do separate training on hardware 4. That'll be the sort of training cluster that we're building at the south side of the Gigafactory, dedicated hardware 4 video and inference. Hardware 4 has cameras that have about 4 or 5 times better resolution, and depending on how you count the sort of hardware 4, it's about anywhere from 3 to 8 times better than hardware 3. So, but everything you're seeing thus far is just hardware 3, and we still have a long way to go before we reach the limits of hardware 3. So hardware 3, I think will do amazing things, but hardware 4, I think will probably do about 5 times better. Then hardware 5, which comes out in about 18 months or so, is 10 times more capable than hardware 4. If you've got 100 million vehicles with a kilowatt of efficient inference compute, you've got 100 gigawatts of compute. Like 100 gigawatts of compute is a lot, and it's distributed all over the world. So when the car is not in autonomous mode, which I think probably is, or doing robotaxi work maybe 50, 60 hours a week, but about 100 hours a week, it's not, it's probably stationary. So there's 100 hours of 100 gigawatts of inference compute, which I think we should use. Why not? We also are no longer compute constrained for training. So this is where actually having a giant fleet is extremely important, because we can deploy a new FSD model and run it in shadow mode and see how well it performs. Compare how the human drives the car versus the new self-driving build, and then analyze that delta in shadow mode, like the shadow knows, or doesn't know, as the case may be, and then be able to assess by getting billions of miles very quickly with the giant fleet. Like that, basically, that data engine is incredibly helpful. Like actually, it's not possible to solve the self-driving problem without having millions of vehicles on the road. So it's pretty wild to just be in Palo Alto with a bunch of cubes and then a humanoid robot just walks past. We've made a massive amount of progress with Optimus in a short period of time, from someone pretending to be a robot dancing in a suit to a pretty hodgepodgey robot, to a robot that is actually doing useful tasks in the factory today. So we have 2 Optimus robots in our Fremont factory that are doing basically this task, which is taking cells off the end of the line and placing them in a shipping container. We've got kind of like one major hardware revision, which should be done by end of this year or early next, and then we'll move into a limited production next year of Optimus. Limited production for use in our factories, where we'll test out the product. Our prediction is next year we'll have over 1,000, maybe a few thousand Optimus robots working at Tesla. Things are going to scale up very rapidly from there. Literally be able to talk to it and say, please do this task, or I'm going to show you something, now do the thing that I'm showing you. Get to the point where it can watch a video of something like a person and then learn just by looking at that video and do that task. It's an immense amount of work that is required to get there, like super difficult. But we are moving very fast down that road. We're going to make it happen.
And that is essentially the meat and potatoes of the Tesla 2024 annual shareholders meeting. Part A, anyway. Check back mañana when we do the Q&A portion of this event. That's all I've got for you today. Be easy. Peace.